Honey Sound Broadcasting, an affiliate of the Bilko Media Network.
Go ahead, Bill. Go ahead. You are live from Walla Walla, Washington.
Well, here we are again, like clockwork. This is the third year in a row. Well, second year in a row. This is the third time we're doing this.
Yeah.
And we will probably forever do this once a year for the rest of our lives.
As long as Disney has anything to say about it.
As long as Disney has anything to say, yeah. You guys just came from the movie, fresh out of there.
We did.
I saw it at the St. Louis Science Center Omnimax.
Oh God!
For something different, where which would give mere mortals less than it'd make them sick just thinking about it.
You've been to the Omnimax, right, Shasta?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I actually like seeing real movies on that aren't specifically designed for Omnimax. I feel is kind of a bad idea.
It was an interesting idea. I've never seen a real movie before on the Omnimax, but I figured, hey, Star Wars, we'll give it a shot.
Yeah.
And it was an interesting ride because they stick you out in the bubble and you're like in everybody's face the whole time.
Yeah.
So it was an interesting ride.
Do you have any Omnimax only notes for Star Wars? Like that's kind of that's the niche.
Unique niche right
That's
there.
the niche group that we're trying to target.
Right.
With this channel, Bill. Is the Dutch Omnimax fan of big budget
Female Omnimax big budget goers.
Yes. Somewhere out there, our demo. There it is.
Other than the fact that the whole thing is magnified into your face 3 or 4 times than a normal theater for the whole 2.5 hours that this movie went on for. I don't think it changes the movie. I mean, it's cut off on the sides, obviously, because it wraps around you. But I don't feel like I missed anything because of that. But I also don't feel like I gained anything by going to the Omnimax.
So the most important thing is, did it stretch out Kylo Ren's torso even more?
That is the question.
That is the real question.
No.
The sad thing is she missed that part.
I forgot. I kind of saw pictures of it before.
She went to the bathroom at one part. I went to the bathroom I think 3 times.
To get out of there?
Yeah, so no, that was the highlight of the movie for me. It was just the broad, mile wide Kylo Ren torso. The long march from shoulder to shoulder, just it'll take many days, but we'll get there in the end. Anyway.
Yeah, so you guys are just out of the movie.
Yes.
First impressions, what do you think?
I would say, okay, so better than everything else I've seen, but still not cutting it. I mean, it was a good film. I don't think it would stand on its own, which is kind of the perennial complaint I guess I have about Star Wars. But it was my least disliked of all the Star Wars.
Really? I'm somewhat the opposite.
Well, okay. Can I just say caveat with an asterisk? Until about 2/3 of the way through the film, and then it becomes like this weird slog.
Well, maybe you guys are too close. Maybe you guys haven't had a chance to really think back on what you just experienced.
That's the thing, because it does a good job of keeping you in the film, but there are plot holes or things that are contrivances or things that are not explained a mile wide.
Yes.
In this film.
Yes, and to me, I think that's what makes a good movie is you have to have a well thought out storyline, and if you don't have that, I don't care what your fancy graphics are, I don't care about your characters, I don't care about your actors. Everything falls apart if you don't have a fundamental story that pulls everything together. This did not have that, and
you're right, Chester. What were your first impressions here?
Yeah, let's hear from you.
I liked it. I was definitely entertained by the animals.
Yes.
I liked
All
all
the
the animals.
Pokemon running around, because that's what they
Yes.
were.
What would you think, like, in terms of the newest Star Wars, like, where would you rank this?
Okay. The newest Star Wars being what? Force Awakens.
There's The Force Awakens, there's
There's
Rogue One,
and this one.
Oh, okay. We are counting Rogue One? Because isn't Rogue One like its own...
Rogue One is not part of the storyline, but it is part of the
Yeah.
new ones, because it's a new one.
It's part of the new one, so let's count it.
I count it. I would count it.
I don't know if I liked this one more than I liked Rogue One. I liked Rogue One okay. You know, The Force Awakens had a lot of issues. I'm still processing, as you said.
Right.
Yeah, we really are, because I think we're not, well, we both had a beer and a half in the movie
Kylo
together.
Ren was a lot less annoying in this one than
Yes.
the last one.
Yes.
He was really awful in Force Awakens.
In The Force Awakens, he was so bad, and I wonder,
so emo.
did they do something to his voice in this one, like his normal voice? Because his normal voice sounds so much better and so less whiny than in The Force Awakens.
They probably auto-tuned him due to complaints from the last one.
I would bet that.
Just so ridiculous.
Also, I'm glad that the Silver Stormtrooper, who is neither explained nor but was focused on incredibly in The Force Awakens, that terrible character, like non-character, just got booted and unceremoniously.
She went the way of Boba Fett.
Jar Jar.
She went the way of Boba Fett and just dies.
Yeah, but Boba Fett didn't ham it up like the entire first movie, and then
that's true too.
Just get erased the second.
Well,
hey, glad that you were on the random ship that I was on. Good thing I get to have this personalized revenge.
You can make the same thing about Snoke, because
everything.
I mean, my God, they were building him up to be this like main dude and the main villain in the next one, and he's on screen for like 10 minutes and he dies, and it's like, what?
He got.
What is even the story? I don't even understand.
You don't even know who this guy is. You got no backstory.
Yeah. Okay. So let's just get this right from the very fucking beginning.
Isn't it like
there is
some
no
other resistance.
there.
Or
Yeah.
The
rebellion. Okay. Just.
What is it called? It's not the. What is this new regime called again?
First Order. First Order.
It doesn't fucking matter because nothing's changed since like the last trilogy. Like, it's the Resistance, which is the Rebellion. It's the same fucking thing. Like, they never went into any. It's now the second movie in what I presume is the third whatever trilogy, and it's like you haven't explained what the galactic stakes are. You haven't explained like what. So I'm just gonna assume, and everybody else I feel is just gonna assume that the Empire continued and then changed its name to the First Order, and then the Resistance or the Rebellion changed its name to the Resistance, and that was the only change.
Maybe that's why I liked Rogue One, because there were stakes. We learned the results.
Yeah, there was,
We actually closed up the story. We learned it. It was like, oh, okay, here we go.
Right, because that bled into the fourth episode,
Yeah.
and it continued the story as a prequel. Whereas here it's like,
and bled is the right word, because Rogue One is a complete parasite. But
it is true.
Aren't we getting another one of those next year? Isn't that what they're doing?
It's going to be Han Solo.
A Han Solo story. Which
yes.
I think is made the news recently because they fired the directors.
Yeah, I hear it's
4 months over post-production. It's 4 months over.
I hear it's not doing so hot.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I'm not surprised at this point.
Oh, Disney.
Because they probably wanted Harrison Ford for a good chunk of it, and he's probably taking a look at the script reader, right? He's going, nope, I don't have any time for this.
Didn't he already refuse to continue?
I think he did. He came out and flat out said, I ain't doing none of these anymore.
Yeah, which makes like Han Solo a weird character to really make a whole movie about if you don't have Harrison Ford at all.
Right. I mean, I guess it is like his younger years, right? So.
I suppose
You can
so.
maybe get away with it, but we'll see. We'll see a year from now when we do our next review.
I know. So basically, I think one of my chief complaints about this new trilogy or whatever is that
I like Rey.
it doesn't. I mean I think the characters are mostly good, but just like the overall setup, it's like it was just botched because they clearly wanted to have like a rebellion empire set up for the new Star Wars because they didn't want to drift too far away from the original one. Because
they didn't know where to take it. I think they don't. They just don't know where to take it. And to your point, shareholder value, they don't want to take a risk and go in a new direction. They just want to repeat the old.
And the thing is that functionally, like this could be this could be the rebellion. The original rebellion 30 years later.
Yeah,
like
it is. It is the original rebellion. Leia's still there doing her thing. It's like But for me,
here she is flying back in.
Oh
space.
God!
Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God! Leia flying back in from space.
And live to tell the tale.
I've forgotten about
Were we
that.
supposed to believe was it like her Jedi power or
something?
You think? I mean, I don't know how else to explain it.
But by the way, that was a letdown for the Luke twist, quote unquote, at the end, because like when Leia just gets blown the fuck out of an airlock and by like a giant laser bolt like from a friggin' Star Destroyer, and she doesn't die from that, and not only does she doesn't have a scratch on
right,
her,
like her eyeballs didn't get sucked out of her sockets, like none of that.
It's like every eyelash was friggin' intact, okay? and I was just like, well, okay, all right, so yeah, of course Luke can take like 20 fucking AT-AT laser bolts straight to the friggin' eyebrow. Because Leia just got blown out into space and she was fine. Why should Luke not be able to take that?
Wait,
like,
Luke didn't get shot.
But
he wasn't actually
there. But my point is that if he actually was, I would totally believe that. Because if you set up that Leia gets blown into space and is fine, and that's what I felt about the whole, like, everything about Leia. I was like,
what if Leia was actually in the bathroom at the time and she was projecting herself on the bridge? Hey. That would explain it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's amazing. So like Jedi projection is apparently a thing now.
Yeah. It's funny how they didn't use that in the older movies.
That's how I felt about literally everything in this movie. Just sort of like, hey, you didn't need to lose any of those ships. You could just put all your ships on the. Well, we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, I think so. So the plot on paper to me, like if you compare all the movies,
and that's where the story breaks for me.
Yes.
By the way, everything after that point, I was just like, huh, and I lost, and everything that past that point lost me.
Well,
like, everything lost me.
I was lost throughout the whole movie. It's like fundamentally, what is the whole premise of this movie, right? And forget the last bit where they're on the planet.
And they didn't even set up the characters. Like
you're on this 18-hour high-speed chase through space. Like the rebels, quote unquote, run out of fuel, and the bad guys are right behind them, and it's like, why didn't you just light speed ahead of the rebels and then destroy them? Like, what's with this dumb 18-hour chase for no reason?
Yeah, well, a big part of that, I feel, is, like, now that I know something about how, like, movies get made and how, like, you kind of just don't see the finished product until you're actually in the movie theater with everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Because as a chase scene, it works, right? Okay.
If it was plausible, yes.
Right.
If they were on the highway, yes.
Right. As I am being pursued and I'm gonna run out of fuel and as that, it works. You know what it doesn't work as? Them just sort of limping along and like lobbing shells at the back of you, like, and you're never gonna get damaged by this. Like, you're.
Right. I mean, they said the rebels, they can accelerate faster than our big evil ship can. but so they're out of range of our laser guns. But we'll have catch up to them eventually when they run out of fuel, was the whole premise. And they're like, we estimate they'll run out of fuel in 18 hours, so we'll just stay behind them for 18 hours instead of light speeding in front of them and just turning around and shooting them from there. Like, the rebels can still go, or not, the rebels can't go into light speed because they're being tracked. But the bad guys sure can. There's nothing preventing them from going into light speed or calling some of their buddies over from somewhere else to destroy the rebels. Like, why drag it out for 18 hours?
It's such a waste of time.
It is.
It makes sense if
you
like,
don't think about it.
Well, no, it's like, okay.
Well, here's why they did it, right? Is so that the Poe dude and the Asian lady can escape and go to Las Vegas.
Okay.
But the fundamental problem with that is they escaped. They escaped. Why were they not shuttling people off the whole time, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth? You know, getting the rebels off of this thing.
I'm gonna invent a new rule / it's an old rule I've had for a while, but it's a new rule, okay? And it's called Tristan's razor, okay? And it's like you're just gonna cut out all the crap. So like I think that if there's a plot hole, which I think that whole firing on the ship scene, that whole plot element is just dumb beyond belief, okay? One, because I can't believe that like you can just lob shells at a shield for forever and it'll be fine, okay? Two, is that like I forget where I was going with this, but the point. Yes.
Number one.
Just one point. But the whole point is that you didn't need to do any of this, okay? You didn't need to do any of this. All right, we've established in A New Hope that you can track ships through hyperspace with a beacon. That's what Vader does, right? By the way, it's why everybody should not like hold up Leia as like some giant fucking hero and genius. It's like, oh, I know the Millennium Falcon is bugged. I'm gonna just take it back to Yavin, no fucking problem, Just anyway. So we know it's possible to track ships through hyperspace. This has already been established in canon. Yet suddenly, I think that they said they could track us in hyperspace.
Yeah.
And it's
that was a big deal in this one. I'm like, what? Haven't they been doing that before?
It was a really big deal.
It was the big deal.
It was a huge deal. And I'm just like, oh, okay, so not only are we on the 3rd episode of the Battlestar Galactica miniseries, but we've also borrowed the rules for hyperspace, too. Okay, all right, fine, whatever, I'll go with it. But the point is that, like, you're on a ship, when you dip back into reality, or when you dip back into port, or when you go somewhere to refuel or something, the enemy is going to catch you, okay? This is not a hard thing to understand. This is not a hard thing to show. But they just had this idiotic chase scene where they're just lobbing shells, at the back of the ship willy-nilly for 18 hours. And it's like, you could have done all of that with everything being in hyperspace. It's like, if we drop out of hyperspace, we're screwed. We've got, like, X units of fuel left. We've got 18 hours before we have to drop out of hyperspace and get destroyed. Instead, they just went with this weird chase in real space scene, which didn't make any sense. And like you said, clearly they showed other people escaping from this.
So why were you not sending these pods out, or even if you had that one shuttle that went to Vegas, why aren't you shuttling rebels back and forth for this entire 18-hour period? You can get everybody out.
And also, they call up that one lady who's, I guess, in the middle of a firefight and is just giving her Yelp review on some code cracker. Okay.
Oh dear.
Okay, and it's like.
Oh, that new Yoda lady.
It's like, the new Yoda, okay? So new Yoda tells us that this code cracker can be found on this prison planet, which I guess is a 9-hour round trip from where the ship she is in. I mean, that's like time and space in this movie are very
Odd.
Are very poorly thought out. Like,
yes.
But again, this is something that you can level exact. It's not like the old Star Wars didn't do this too, right? Like, did Yoda and Luke train on Dagobah for 2 weeks or for 2 days? All right, it's very not clear when you look at The Empire Strikes Back. Like, okay,
Yes.
like you're cutting back between scenes, and it's like, oh, is this all happening one time? Because I'm watching Luke become like a Jedi freaking master, like in between these, different days on Bespin, right? So that's another thing too. But honestly, I think the strongest parts of the movie and the best parts of the movie, and really the only parts of the movie that I consider like really worth rewatching, are all the Mark Hamill scenes on the island of Luke and Rey. Because like those.
The Island of Luke and Rey.
The Island of Luke and Rey.
Make a new movie.
The Island of Luke and Rey, and the cute little hamsters, like those.
The little hamster birds.
Little hamster birds.
Little guinea pig birds.
Little guinea pig birds. They. I know the Disney focus group's a cute little thing until whatever, but I don't care. It's in my heart.
I saw when they were
that Chewie couldn't eat them.
Yes, so there's a vegan.
There's like a vegetarian.
Or a vegetarian. Yeah, there's a vegetarian message. The whole thing. Don't abuse animals.
There's a lot of that.
The whole spaceship shooting thing, like.
Well, it was just so dumb. And then when they actually escaped at the end, in their little pods, like, so that mega ship was like picking them off, but it was picking them off at like one every couple minutes. It's like, you only have one gun that overheats after one shot. Like, why are you shooting so slowly here? That made me mad. And then that one lady stayed behind to pilot the ship? Like, you don't have autopilot?
I know, she's like, someone has to stay behind.
Why?
Thank you for your noble and needless sacrifice. I really just want to believe that Leia was really being bitchy and she knew the ship had an autopilot, but she's just mad at her. She's just mad at her. She's like, you are too dumb to live, honey. No, I'm so your sacrifice is just wow.
Or leave a droid. Like,
so
come
great.
on. A droid can't pilot a ship? C-3PO, he's useless. Throw him in there.
What, like, yeah, again, why is 3PO still around, man? 3PO is...
They need those translators.
I know, they need all those protocol droids, and...
Yeah. Well, let's talk about her suicide thing she did there, too, because she went into hyperspace and cut through the evil ship.
Yeah!
Which... Okay, why hasn't anybody ever thought of that before? And why aren't there missiles that can do that exactly that? Why do you need a ship?
Yeah, I was what? That's what hyperspace does? You literally go through something? Then how do you not accidentally run into like planets?
And
other stars or like.
That's all they explained that in the first one actually, in the original where Han Solo is like doing coordinates and calculations.
Oh,
so that you don't run into a star or something like that. But if you can cut through this impenetrable ship with by just going through hyperspace, why aren't there missiles that can do this?
Why are there missiles that can do that?
Yeah.
And why 2 hours and like 12 ships ago?
Yeah, 12 ships later.
You just, turn this thing around
and you just figure it out.
Yeah, and hyper zap it, hyper dagger these ships that are chasing you.
Yeah.
It's just like it really, a lot of it felt like an anime to me, or like I don't really watch like anime or Dragon Ball Z, but a lot of it felt like those kind of tropes, right? Only at the 11th hour can the hero use his Super Saiyan powers to defeat the enemy, and it's like at great cost of his own life or whatever. And it's like, no, this is supposed to be, dealing with like, okay, these things as, actual vehicles and actual ships, or no.
When Rey showed up, when they like just suddenly were on
the
same place too, I feel like there was no transition with that either. It was just suddenly
She was there, yeah.
yeah, suddenly they're like flying around, and I'm like, wait, what? They're here too? And then suddenly they're like, we have to find the tracker or whatever. And I was like, wait, what? You're already here? We didn't know you were here. Hi, you're back, I guess. Like, hello. During a really weird red sand battle thing that made everything look made it look bloody.
I thought that was that was interesting, but
Well, it was Hoth. It was Hoth with a twist.
It was Hoth. It was
sand
Hoth.
instead of snow, but it was Hoth.
And again, I will voice my complaint. I think 3 out of 8 times. Actually, 4 out of 8 times. AT-ATs are not a viable weapons platform. If you have spaceships, if you have bombing from orbit as a thing, like AT-ATs would not be used in today's military because they're unwieldy and impractical.
Even if you have to send them, why would you send them miles away? Why would you drop them right where they need to be? Again.
Yeah, again.
These people clearly did not study the Battle of Hoth in their history class growing up, because otherwise they would have realized they just drop them where they should be. Why do they need this long drug out approach?
I mean, things were not going well up until the scene where, like, the lady goes Super Saiyan on all the Star Destroyers, right? But past that scene, honestly, I feel like the movie should have ended. You know, we have the transports going. So actually, hang on. How did the movie end? Because it's like, okay, so all the walkers are still outside the base, and so they evacuated the base again. So they got out of the base.
Like,
yeah.
All got on the.
They got on that one ship and left.
And they left.
So what was it like?
And everyone was high fiving, and everybody's happy.
If you're just gonna have everybody evacuate, why do it twice in one movie? Like,
right. I mean, if you think about it, where they are in the beginning of the movie is the exact same point they are at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
There's no difference. Except they're minus, a few hundred rebels.
I know.
So this movie accomplished nothing.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of, it doesn't really move anything forward. And all these characters, it's like we're just expected to remember, I guess. It's like, I do feel like they kind of set them up in The Force Awakens, like some of them, but then they just, like Finn. We had nothing from Finn this movie. He's supposed to be important, but it's just he kind of is there and then not and then there again and then...
The Stormtrooper dude?
Yeah. Like, we got a little bit of a story about him before, and now they just don't add to it at all.
No. When he was about to sacrifice himself on the Hoth planet...
Oh, God.
The whole time I kept thinking about that Independence Day scene where he's like, "Hello, boys, I'm back.
I'm back." Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
God, that was so stupid too, because it's like you just had the beam weapon, and it was like you had to bring this down into the surface. I don't know. Anyway.
That's true. Whatever it was, couldn't they have done it from space anyway? I
mean, they said something about having the shield up, but like, again, yeah, they just wanted to do Hoth.
They wanted to do Hoth again.
And they had those stupid, like, ski bike things that, like, motor out, which were so... They did nothing. And it was like, you didn't even have a plan, guys. Like, you sent these, like, things that didn't even have canopies.
I know, they're like shocked. They're like, oh man, they're just picking us off. Oh my god, this is terrible.
What'd you expect?
I was on my ATV charging this Abrams tank, and it didn't work. Yeah, that was... Well, I just feel like that was like everything past the ships getting... Because you've done... The whole thing is that, like, okay, so what are the stakes of this movie? What are the stakes that you set up? The enemy fleet is chasing the friendly fleet. A ragtag bunch of scrappy young kids has to go and save the day when their elders won't listen to them. They go do their own thing for a while, but the thing is that the fleet is in jeopardy, and we're worried about the fleet, and those are the stakes. And then once that goes away like 2/3 of the way through the movie, the rest of the movie just really feels tacked on. like
Well, it's kind of 2 movies.
It is. It really is. It's like the first movie, which is
the first hour and a half, which is a movie in and of itself.
Right.
You know,
which is we need to leave the stubborn fleet to save it and bring back the thing that was the motivation for everybody there. And then later it's like, okay, well, we've all got to escape again. The only parts of the movie that I felt were really strong and I felt really worked to expand literally anything were Rey and Luke and the island.
But I even thought that was a little weird because it's like Luke didn't really want to train Rey, and the whole dynamic I thought was a little.
They were a little odd, yeah.
Really weird.
I don't know. They don't.
Because what did Luke even do? He just like complained the whole time of Rey trying to be a Jedi.
Yeah, and I will say I don't know if those two had a lot of chemistry.
I don't think they did.
And that might be it too. That might be it too.
They didn't seem to have chemistry the same way. It actually did develop her as a character, which is nice. Like, we did learn some.
Yeah, she developed a little bit.
But between her and Luke, it was weird. You're right. He just kind of was like, wah, the whole time. And she was just kind of like,
yeah.
I'm going to yell for a minute, and now I'm going to sleep. And I'm going to yell some more.
Also, I'm sorry, but, like, again, we didn't have a conclusion to Luke's story at all in the original trilogy, okay? Like, we blow up the second Death Star because we're already out of ideas by movie 3. And it's just Ewok yub-yubs, and that's it. And we don't know what the hell happens to Luke. And, like, I guess he was training people, and he was training Kylo Ren, and he thought that Kylo Ren was going to be a bad dude, so he wanted to slice him up in the middle of the night. Okay? Like, that's the extent of the information I have from Luke post Return of the Jedi to right now.
Right. He trains a bunch of kids, doesn't get very far, goes to kill Kylo Ren, fails, and runs off to a secluded island.
And and hides in Scotland, right? So, I feel like Luke.
Maybe they made Kylo Ren less emo this time because they needed to let Luke be more cranky.
I guess.
They're like, Luke's got to be our complainer this time.
Yeah, I know, right? I don't know, but it's like Luke just didn't seem to have his shit together. Like,
no, he didn't.
And it really seemed like he was just some like oboe living in the middle of nowhere. And it was like, I know you're doing this like as some great like thing about, the Force I rejected, or the Force it's, I'm never gonna be a Jedi again, and the Jedi are gonna die, and I don't care, He just kind of became a bum on an island, drinking green tip milk from some randos that you found. On the cliff sides, like, I mean, they showed him doing some stuff like that was like jump that crevasse or whatever to stab that fish or something. Like, I don't know why it was necessary to jump onto the other side of that thing if you were. I don't understand. I don't understand you, Luke. You be you, but I don't get it. But yeah, like, honestly, you're right. Like you said. What were your first impressions? I like Rey, and honestly, I think that's my impression too. Is like I like.
Yeah, I like her.
I do like Rey. I think she has potential. I think it's a little weird that she became this Master Jedi with zero training throughout the last 2 movies. But Kylo Ren, the little statement he said, are Rey's parents actually nobodies, or was he pulling her leg?
Yeah.
I don't know, because it's like, to me, I kind of like the vision of the Force that was kind of espoused in like the first movie, The New Hope, which is kind of different from what's in Empire Strikes Back and what's in Return of the Jedi and the prequels and stuff. I mean, the prequels just takes it into the a crazy direction, right? Like where like I'm taking blood samples of midichlorians, but But in the New Hope, like when Obi-Wan is talking to Han, and Han is just like I don't believe this crazy. And honestly, all the Star Wars movies, I only think now that I've seen them all, like A New Hope, the original Star Wars movie, is I think the best and
I agree.
the only one that really stands by
On
itself.
its own, yes, I agree to that too.
You know, sorry, I lost my train of thought. What was that one?
Ray's parents, are they actually nobodies or?
Are they actually nobodies or not? I don't know. I mean, they could be nobodies, or they could be super duper Force users. And I'm gonna bet it's super duper Force users, because the thing is, the vision of what the Force is in the New Hope is almost like it's something that you can learn if you develop yourself, you can get in touch with.
Mm-hmm.
And then everywhere else,
you don't have to be born with it.
Hereditary.
Yeah.
Or, it seems to be like if you were born with the special. Well, we saw that in the end credits when the little kid, uses his Force powers to pick up the broom and start sweeping. It's like. But I mean, I think the route they're gonna take with it is like the Wizards versus Muggles route, where it's like, yeah, it's mostly hereditary, but randos can have it too. Like I think that's what they're gonna do with it.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's what they already have, because like Anakin came from nothing.
Anakin was immaculately conceived.
Right, he was the original Jesus of Star Wars.
Thank you, Lucas. It's less of a movie and more like a disjointed like combination of scenes, I feel.
What do you think of Yoda coming out of nowhere and shooting some lightning around? Because I saw that was a huge pain point for a lot of the diehards, was the ghost Jedi's interfering with the real world.
Oh, really?
Because if Yoda can shoot lightning out of the sky, why didn't he just like appear in front of Snoke and bolt him with some lightning? And you can't kill Yoda; he's already dead. So why aren't all the old Jedi's still hanging around fighting all the battles for the rebels?
So who the fuck is Snoke?
Exactly.
I guess we're never gonna find out.
I don't think we will, because they killed him off before we even knew anything.
All these people are just so like everything is just so.
You gotta give him his own backstory movie, I guess.
Oh my God, yes, please, the Snoke story. I need to know that. No, well, it's like everybody's just like such a fill-in. It's like Kylo Ren is a fill-in for Vader. Rey is a fill-in for Luke.
Yeah.
Poe is a fade-in for probably like Han Solo. I don't know what Finn is. Finn is useless.
Finn is kind of, well, a droid.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Finn is R2.
A new droid, yeah. I think he's R2.
It's not BB-8.
It's BB-8.
It's Finn. Finn is the droid. I guess you could make the same criticism of the Emperor and the Empire and stuff. You don't really know who the Emperor is or anything like that. But the thing is, it's like, the Emperor, like, he's the head of the government, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you understand that. And Snoke, he's the head of the First Order, but what is the First Order? Is the First Order a
government institution?
Is it a government institution? Is
it the mafia?
Is it a breakaway faction of the Republic?
It's never explained.
Is the Republic? See, that's the fundamental problem, is that like nothing. Like we had the opening crawl, and it was like, the Resistance has been pummeled, and it's not doing so hot. So,
dun dun dun.
Dun dun dun. But there's not a difference between the Resistance and the Rebellion. It's just a different name.
Mm-hmm.
And the same thing, and really go to all these Star Wars movies, is that it's not a different story. I mean, they went to rich space Monaco, and that was something. But yeah, Space Vegas, and that was neat. Right, and I like the cute little line. It's the worst place in all the galaxy. But again, I feel like this new Star Wars is addicted to not giving people backstories.
Yes,
Like
it's the new.
the only new person who's introduced in this film is the main character is the Asian lady. I don't know what her name is.
I don't
She
either.
was good. I liked her. But like when you get back to her home planet, I was just a stable keep, and I have no backstory. I have no relation to the world. Like I was, and Ray, I am just a scavenger. I have no relation to this world. I have no backstory. Finn, I guess I was a stormtrooper, but I'm not going to tell you anything about it. I have no relation to this world. I have no backstory. Luke, Leia, what have you been doing for the last 30 years? I have no backstory.
Yep. I mean, Luke didn't even know the First Order existed, apparently. I mean, he's been on a rock for 30 years, or however long it's been.
Yep. And honestly, you can say that exact same thing about probably half these characters. And I'm not even joking. Overall, like I came out of the movie and it was good. It was a fairly well executed thing. But that's what I said. It's like it doesn't make it a good movie.
Right. I mean, there are a bunch of pretty pictures on the screens. They're good at their CG stuff, but the plot line to me is the key that strings everything together, and it just wasn't there.
Yeah.
It didn't all fit together as a puzzle piece. It was all misconjoined, and I feel like they just smashed pieces together to make it so.
Yeah, make it so. So I wonder, because I have a theory that the only way that this series can survive, or like Star Wars can survive, is if it goes like the pure nostalgia way,
Yep.
Because I
think that's why you liked Rogue One, right? Because it felt.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I liked for Rogue One, because
exactly.
It carried on stories that you were familiar with, and you knew, you knew things. You had backstory. It made sense.
And I think it's worth mentioning.
So maybe we'll like the Han Solo movie.
Mm-hmm. But that. I think this is the thesis that I have crystallized about the new Star Wars. Okay, and it is that the old Star Wars is not these are not particularly good movies. The reason why they became famous and the reason why everybody remembers them is because sci-fi and space adventure stuff at the time was either very cerebral or was very like a guy in a rubber suit.
It was low budget.
And to see something that felt
very
like
low budget
and like looked like World War II footage and was very understandable and also had extreme and almost never before done special effects. That was the reason that Star Wars became popular and got butts in the seats. Now I don't think you have that. I don't think there's any, like the audience is very prepared for full CGI human creatures, let alone spaceship shooting at each other. So, like, the wow factor from ILM isn't there anymore. And the only thing that they have to go off of then is story and characters, which was never Star Wars' strong suit to begin with. Well, I don't know. We'll see. We'll stretch it out maybe 10 years, 20 years, and see if the superhero genre versus the Star Wars genre is, which one has gone further.
Has the lasting power.
Has the lasting power. And I think it'll probably be the superhero.
I think so too, because it's less complicated. Because you can explain things away. Like, Spider-Man getting bit by the spider. Nobody questions the technological backstory of the spider.
No.
You just accept it for what it is. Whereas in Star Wars, you need to explain, how things happen.
You do, but it's also definitely primed as a fantasy. All right, a long time ago in a galaxy far.
That's true. I mean, you got the Force, which is kind of that unexplainable aspect. Yeah. But my whole argument too is you could take out the Force from Star Wars, doesn't change a thing in any of these movies. The Force does not need to exist.
Well, I don't think so. And maybe I think of it just through the lens of the first movie, because I think what they're going for in the first movie is all these dudes get blown up doing their trench run because they don't have the Force, right? Luke is only able to make it and make that perfect shot and whatever.
Oh, I see. Yeah, because the Force is guiding him.
Because the Force is guiding him, because fate is guiding him, and all that stuff. And but I feel that has been eclipsed almost by, the Force is used to choke people. The Force is a thing that used,
to throw rocks around.
That's why
yeah.
I really liked this that whole scene between Luke and Rey, where he's just like, everything you believe about the Force is wrong, because it's not all these things. It's just the binding force of the universe, whatever that is, right? And kind of trying to do that, and that's why I kind of thought he had his shit together, and then I don't know, he doesn't seem to have his shit together. Which I guess is okay if he's still sticking around for more movies. Is Mark Hamill?
No, they killed him off. He's dead.
Come back.
Oh yeah, he's dead. Yeah.
Is he
He's
gonna
gonna be
come
a
back
ghost.
as like an apparition?
Well, he could come back as a ghost and lightning everybody, I guess, because Yoda did.
Well,
But,
what a way to go! Just force projecting yourself somewhere else and then being like, "Well, I'm gonna die now."
Tough day at the office.
I felt like they made the script variable for how much Carrie Fisher wanted to be in it.
And that could be too. They did cut. I did see this is the longest Star Wars movie out of all of them, and they also cut back between 45 and 60 minutes from the original.
Oh, wow.
Final cut, if you will.
Oh, it was like 2 movies then.
Yeah.
It felt like 2 movies.
Maybe they crammed episode 8 and 9 together into this movie because they came up with an idea for a new episode 9.
Yeah.
I could see that happening. But maybe that's where all of our backstory went, was in the 60 minutes they cut.
No.
They said, give them the main points and go.
Yeah, you're right. It's like they're going on about Rey's parents. It's like, who were they? And it's obviously you didn't care in the first movie.
In the first movie, that was a major thing. We're like, who are Rey's parents? Who is Rey? And who is Snoke, right? Like, who are these people? It doesn't matter. Just the big shrug. It doesn't matter. Just kill off Snoke, and Rey's parents were nobodies.
And they try to do this thing where they're like, well, don't you see? Both sides are evil because they're both getting the same weapons. That one guy.
Yeah.
Who was, I guess, interesting, but he went nowhere. All right, he just showed up and leaves.
I like that he lived.
Yeah,
he did not die. I assume he lived. And I hope they don't bring him back in the next movie to kill him off or something. I want him to live his happy little life with, being rich.
Being rich, yeah.
Also, was he a plant from the evil guy from the First Order originally?
I don't know.
Because if he was in jail and he can escape jail anytime he wanted to, why did he wait for Poe and the Asian lady to get there before escaping?
Well, and
why didn't he just escape hours ago?
The whole thing was you're sent to find the special person who can decrypt the Empire's, secret code. And it's they wind up in jail next to some guys I'm a code breaker. And you're like, oh, I guess you'll do.
Yeah.
Great. That solves our problem.
Yeah, not a lot made sense. Not a lot made sense, but it felt pretty okay.
In the moment, you're saying it felt pretty good. I mean, at the end of the day, I guess I can appreciate them attempting to do this again with Star Wars, making more movies. I can appreciate the ride, but
yeah,
what they come up with was just garbage to me.
Well, I feel like it's just gonna be different, because the thing that made Star Wars is it's just a bunch of people filming in Tunisia, on this thing that they don't know if it's gonna work out or not. And that's a much different thing from a focus group to death script presented for $1 billion budget.
That is true.
So it's become something else entirely. It was incepted.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even Return of the Jedi was super commercialized, and the Ewoks were meant to replace the Cabbage Patch Kids or whatever. I don't know, but they were meant to be toys.
So Leia lived.
Leia lived.
For all that?
Leia lived.
Yeah. So my question is,
Yeah,
wasn't
Carrie
this
is-
her last?
Yeah. Oh God, they're gonna bring her back.
I heard that they're not gonna CGI her back in. That
So
is her
maybe
last.
Maybe that's part of why this movie ended up so long, because maybe they realized,
That she
shit,
died.
we were gonna put her in episode 9,
Yeah.
but obviously we can't now.
Well, I mean, they
Maybe.
filmed everything obviously before she died.
Well, this one, yeah.
So they
but
knew
maybe
the
there were
scenes. They knew the scenes she needed to be in.
Yeah. Oh, I guess that's true. So she could still be in episode 9.
Right. It wasn't like they
Yeah.
were filming episode 9 already. They didn't start yet.
Oh yeah, you're right. She might be in episode 9, right?
Have they already finished episode 9? And they're just not releasing it
I
for
think
2 years?
it's every other year you get a main story, and then every other year you get the backstory. So
The anthology
I think
story?
it starts filming sometime around now, and then they'll film for 6 months, and then they'll do like a year of post production.
Yeah.
Because that's how the last one worked. They started filming in January and then wrapped in last June or July, and then Carrie Fisher died in December when Rogue One came out, and then here we are a year later, and this one came out. So I don't think how would they explain Leia's? I think they're gonna kill her off, but they'll do some kind of like some dude is gonna explain how it went down.
But it's like weird. It's like, well, she's dead.
Like I don't
now.
think they're gonna.
But why didn't they just let her die in this movie?
They could have killed her off. They very well could have killed her off at the end.
It would have made it easier on them, probably.
Yeah.
They're just gonna kill her off like Poochie and Itchy and Scratchy and The Simpsons. They're just gonna like take a still frame of her, and then Leia went off to her home planet.
I could see that, but if I had to guess, they're not gonna have her appear anywhere. She's gonna die at some point between the end of this movie and the next installment. And then there'll be a throwaway line about how she died heroically in some battle or something like that.
I bet that.
So apparently, the First Order is considered a rump state, which is a term that I don't know.
Rump states, by definition, cannot afford cannot afford capital class equipment.
Yeah.
You know. Okay, so the First Order, a rump state, for those not involved, is
it used to be bigger.
Yes, a very defeated, like Byzantium is the perfect example of a rump state.
Mm.
It controls most of Greece and most of Anatolia and Turkey, and eventually it only controls like Byzantium, right? So the city, Constantinople now. So that's the perfect example of a rump state in history. But guess what? Byzantium at its twilight, at its decline, was not fielding gigantic, massive armies into the field.
No, the First Order definitely has they have their stuff together. I mean, they got projects all over the galaxy. We saw in the first one of them building like all their stuff, and that they're keeping the stormtrooper plan alive, and they're very well established government, I guess.
I mean, they have all of the trappings and logistics and whatever of the old empire, and they're basically indistinguishable. Like from the audience perspective, this is the empire.
Right.
There's no difference. They have the same.
They sure seem to have domain over every planet.
Yeah.
So what? I mean, if there's some kind of fragmented afterthought, who's running the other planets? But that's never like brought up or mentioned because it's always the First Order.
And also, like, I don't know why they're called the First Order. That's another big part of it too.
Yeah, why is it the First Order?
It's like the Second Order, or maybe it's like the First Chaos. Like, I don't know what would distinguish them.
Are they assuming a second will come about?
I mean, maybe. I don't know. But
that's gonna be the new trilogy in 15 years. The Second Order takes over everything.
The Second Order. That's right. God.
So yeah, I mean, I enjoyed watching it. It just, wasn't.
Hey, you don't see Star Wars until you saw it on the Omnimax.
Apparently not. The Omnimax is the way to go. That's the only way.
It's a very interesting way.
So I guess we maybe need to go try that out if they do that again sometime.
Yeah.
So what do you think that they're gonna do in the
What's the plot of the next one, you mean?
in 9? What do you think's gonna happen?
Well, in theory, they gotta close it out somehow. So I assume the First Order will fall at some point.
Yeah.
They'll probably do some sort of Kylo Ren Rey thing again, because they kind of really set that up.
Oh yeah.
You know, is Rey gonna turn evil or is Kylo Ren gonna go good?
Yep.
You know, I'm, and if Episode 7 tells us anything, it's that Rey will win in the end and bring new Vader back to the good side.
Bring new Vader back. Bring him over. Woohoo! Yeah, and then
Rey establishes herself as the new Empress of the First Order.
That's right. She's in charge. I know.
I can see that.
Yeah. Well, and then there's this whole complication because, like, I feel like in Force Awakens, they were Finn and Rey kind of had something, and now Finn and Rose are a thing, and Rey and Kylo Ren have some, tension. So, yeah, no, really, it's like Kylo and Rey in some way are gonna be together, whether it's ruling evil together or being together for the good side. Yeah, they definitely did set that up. And if they don't do anything with that, oh gosh.
Which, if this movie proves anything, nothing is safe. Nothing is safe.
They might just introduce a bunch of new characters.
They might kill them all off and introduce a whole new people.
I want to know what happened to the Red Guard Praetorian Guard guy number 6. All right, I'm interested in him. Speaking of which, that whole
Gaga's Warriors.
Yeah,
they looked like they were in a music video or something.
They did, and I love how they all had their own special like
lightsaber thing. Yeah.
I also like. Apparently, that's just how. I was about to say the Empire. I'm so sorry I got that confused with the New Order. A totally different thing. Very different thing. Obviously. Very different. Very distinct. I guess that's just how you choose who leads the New Order is who's ever currently sitting in the throne, and his 6 putty men. Whoever kills them, then you get to be the Emperor, because nobody questioned Kylo Ren.
Well, didn't Kylo say Rey killed him and he showed up later?
I don't know, but I would totally put that on Kylo Ren as like saying that. But him being in any position of power and authority after that moment, like, honestly, I think the only reason why that Kylo Ren was where he was because of Snoke. Like, because there's no way that guy climbed the ranks of the New Order.
No,
like,
not a
on
chance.
His own.
Not a chance.
When he had the Knights of Ren, he had his own.
He had his own knights
within the Order. So somehow Snoke thought he could.
All I can say about
under his wing, I guess.
Boy, I wish I saw that on screen. That would be nice. I don't remember.
I don't know. Like, I can't believe they cut an hour from this, and this is what they kept. I'm like,
yeah. What did they cut?
Did they cut things that would have explained characters better or situations better, or did they ever explain those things? And these were just maybe they cut like a bunch of other characters.
Can we just talk about how dumb of a character Miss Resistance was? I don't know what I'm going to call her name, but it's like I called her like Resistance Nancy Pelosi or whatever, just like
purple hair?
The purple hair, right? Like I've had enough of your hotshot attitude, young girl.
Lady Stay Behind.
Lady Stay Behind.
Lady Stay Behind.
She's an amazing actress too, actually.
He's a troublemaker.
I like him.
I like him. Aren't you under fire right
Yes.
now?
Yes.
And also, like, you're going to drag this guy up and down. You're going to shit all over him in front of everybody. And
yeah, way to keep the morale.
Your plan, let me understand it, was to wait until you run out of fuel, then load up all your dudes on lifeboats and just watch them get shot one by one as they march. Because I don't understand. Was she expecting that not to happen, and like something big happened that I must have missed that. Like,
I have no idea. I don't know why she had to keep it a secret. Like, why is she keeping the final plan a secret from everybody?
a plan that you're all gonna have.
Is it because it was just so fundamentally stupid?
Like, at that point, she was being so fucking dumb that I thought she was just a traitor. Like, she was like the plan.
Yeah.
You know?
I could see that.
Because she was being so shitty and bad and awful and dumb.
She must be a bad guy or something, 'cause this is weird.
Also, she was American, so I figured she was bad.
Because everyone else.
Uh,
Everyone else has the accent.
yeah, everybody good. Well, except for
So,
the Empire.
Finn
It's like, I'm sorry, the First Order.
Which
Finn
is so
was-
funny because that actor is British.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Because we've seen
Yeah.
him
Yes!
in other things. So I'm like,
Yes.
why did you make him not have his accent for this movie?
Yes!
Of all movies.
Yes!
Like,
Oh, he has a very good American accent now that I think about it. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right.
yeah, no.
Yeah, I didn't even
That's
get
what,
that.
when I saw him again, I was like, attack the block!
Yeah.
The alien.
Yeah, he's a good actor. Like Star Wars, watch these actors act in better movies, such as Attack the Block. We have any closing thoughts?
Closing thoughts.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay,
overall,
closing thoughts,
yeah,
bro.
closing thoughts. So
Closing
when I was waiting for you guys, I was reading some reviews on IMDb, and one of the titles for this movie was Star Wars: The Last Hope, which I would agree with. Which means that the next Star Wars movie is going to be called Star Wars: No Hope. And that pretty much sums up where I'm at with this franchise.
Yeah.
I give this new trilogy no quarter. It is.
Orgy no points.
I already know points. May God have mercy on your soul. You will be taken from this place to hang from the neck until you are dead. This is the truest lament that I have about Star Wars, is that every movie that you see get made also represents a million other movies not getting made. Okay? We got Star Wars, we didn't get, a new original movie. We got Star Wars, we didn't get maybe an update of a old classic or something. I mean, I know that I've railed against that, but whatever. The point is that
This is where everybody's heart and soul is going into.
this is where this, and it's everybody's heart and soul is going into this, not because Star Wars was an incredible endeavor for all like, I feel like almost like take a look at a microcosm of this is the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit movies, in that one is someone trying to evoke something into the world with artistry and craft, but then because that did so well, all right, more was demanded, not as an exercise in a creation of art, not as an evocation of an excellent and good thing being brought into the movie theater. It wasn't done because of that. It was done because of shareholder value, maximizing shareholder value. And that's what I feel like these Star Wars movies will be good at, is that they will be fundamentally good at one thing,
lots of money.
and that will be maximizing shareholder value, because they're not designed to be anything else.
Yep.
Which is not to say that they don't make something that's not fun to sit in the theater and watch for 2.5 hours. I didn't have a bad time at this.
No.
This was nice. It was another, but it did its job. It got its $8 out of me, and I'm done with it. All right, and that's the whole point. Create something that feels like it has to be seen by a great amount of people because it's this cultural and
Star Wars.
because it's Star Wars. Eventually it's not going to be that anymore. That's my closing thought. But for now it is, and I feel for now, like, you know,
especially if they have it come out every year.
Honestly, that's milking the cow very fast. Like, I feel, you know.
No, they're turning it into a yearly ritual. Actually, I think the new one comes out in May.
The next one?
Yeah, the solo one.
Oh.
I think.
When the revolution comes and the corporations own everything, they will replace years with Star Wars names. Did you know that people used to name years consecutively in increasing digits instead of just through the whatever Star Wars came out that year? You know, we used to have 2004, and then after that came 2005, instead of. We're just gonna have, like, it's just gonna be like the Chinese years. It's just like the year of the Rogue One, the year of the Return of the Jedi.
When were you born? When The Force Awakened?
I know, right?
When the Force Awakens 5.
When The Force Awakened for the 5th time.
Yeah, you know, we've known each other since Force Awakens, but we really got serious during Rogue One. And now we're getting married during, you know, Last Jedi.
When the Empire Strike Back.
Oh my god, that's so Last Jedi 5.
Do you see the sentence I put together with all the titles?
Oh, I did.
Let me see if I can find that. Because when they announced The Last Jedi as the title, I put something on Facebook. Oh, here it is. I said, if you've never seen Star Wars, I'll sum it up for you in one sentence. A phantom menace is attacking the clones while the Sith are out for revenge. But there's a new hope that the Empire will strike back and the Jedi will return, only to have the Force Awakened a little too late for the Last Jedi.
That's pretty good. Why don't we get you to write the script
for the next one? I bet you I will do better.
Yeah, I think you will.
This has been a presentation of Honey Sound Broadcasting, an affiliate of the Bilko Media Network.